All right, it is time to get started. Hello, I'm Josh again, and I'm going to help you guys build BoxBots by showing you how I put together my personal BoxBot, Fidget. Fidget um, is a combat robot who uses standard cardboard for its armor and for its frame, and the thing that connects the motors and electronics and weapons all together is called the chassis. It's a framework. It's like a skeleton, but it's all made with cardboard. It is not made with steel or anything like that. It can't have armor on it, like a steel plate or even plastic. It's got to be cardboard. And the reason for that is we don't want to have robots so powerful they can destroy steel. We want robots that make a mess and we show a kind of fighting spirit by destroying each other in the ring or out wrestling. Like here's another robot called Squeegee. And you can see how it works is it has a very sharp wedge on it. And so it gets up under the other robot and flips them over. And so it can win a fight just by keeping the other robot busy, by scooping them up over and over again. Fidget, on the other hand, is a little different. Fidget is at its heart just a bunch of wires. Let's lay this out a little. There's a place to plug a battery into right here. There's a battery plug, just like the other robots that you've seen me build. It has a weapon controller right here with wires. And then there's other wires that plug into that for the weapon. This is the fidget weapon. It's like a fidget spinner. And it works by rotating this way very quickly. So you can kind of see what I mean there. As this spins quickly, it can catch other robots, and you can imagine what happens. It chews the other robot up with its spinner, so it knocks the other robot out of the way, or even digs into the robot body. So I better put the safety wedge right back in there. There you go. So that's the weapon for Fidget, and these are the wheels that drive Fidget around. There's the brain that keeps Fidget smart, and there's the receiver that the transmitter talks to. There's the transmitter. The red transmitter is what talks to Fidget. And let's get started building this guy. So I've built this a few times, and every once in a while I take the parts up and start over again. We gotta have eyes so that it has a face. Because really, you can't really fight something that doesn't have a face. You gotta have something to focus your attention on. And sometimes the aggressive eyes can actually bend the fight to your advantage if you can be aggressive enough. Just by how you look at somebody, you can get the fight going in your favor. Anyways, we're going to save these eyeballs for last and work mainly on the mounting the weapon to some cardboard. And I happen to have some cardboard right there. I also have another camera here. Hold on. There we go. So just checking in with my other camera real quick. Sorry about the dead air, y'all. There it is. Yeah. So we do have a camera from the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my weapon. I'm going to put it on my cardboard. And I'm going to put it on sideways. Since my weapon is unplugged, I feel safe taking the safety wedge out of it. And so what I'm going to do, I kind of want to make a triangle that fits up here and down here, right? Because you can see it kind of has the sides of a triangle already. The overhead camera is probably better for this. So I want to have sides like this. And the goal with that is so that with the wheels on, you would be able to drive on this side upside down or this side if you get flipped over. And I wasn't able to do that last time. I was in a hurry and I wasn't thinking very straight. And so I ended up making a silly fidget that couldn't drive upside down. This fidget is going to drive upside down. So very important tools for you. We're going to have a pen or a pencil to mark our cardboard. I'm going to use a knife, a utility knife, to cut the cardboard. You can also use scissors. Nothing wrong with using some nice good scissors there. To make a straight line cut, I'll use a steel straight edge. Sometimes there's wooden rulers that have a metal edge on them, and you can use those just the same. But I like my steel one. And then we're going to glue everything together with a hot glue gun. Hot glue guns are fun because they actually stick plastic out of the end. It's melted, and when they build up on the thing you want to glue together, it's very hot, so be careful. And then when you glue the pieces together, they stick. So now those two pieces of cardboard are now stuck together really good. And you got to hold it for a while until it cools down and actually becomes solid. Because if I pull it apart too soon, you can actually unglue it. And now you have this weird mess. But making a weird mess should not be a problem. You should be able to make a weird mess and not feel too strange. So let's take a look at the top of this thing. Let's make a plan. And the plan I have is a triangle, right? So I can even use the camera you're seeing here to help me with this. I want the front of this to line up with the front of this. So let's do that. So the front of this is lined up with the front of that. And I'm going to stick my head in the way. Sorry, y'all. And there we go. That's a line that I'm going to do. There's a front to it. There's also a downside. Okay. And I'm going to use the ruler right away. So this is the way I want the ground to be under it. I want the wedge to be on the ground, and I want this to be the ground line. But I need the outline of the weapon. The weapon is a solid piece that I can put in any robot. I'm trying hard not to move the weapon. That goes off the side. All right, so that's a good start. So that's the outline of the weapon. And what I want to do, this is going to be the ground when it's driving upside down. Okay? You can imagine it driving upside down with a wheel on it. Right? And this is the side I want it to be on when it's driving right side up. So these aren't part of the robot, but it makes a triangle. The actual robot is, the outline of the robot is more like You can't drag the robot on the ground, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a thicker line for the outline of the proper robot. So that's the outline of the robot. And I'll draw little X's on here so I know I don't want to keep that. I want to cut that off when I'm done. And then also, we'll do the same thing on the bottom of the robot when it's driving upside down. So we don't want that. So I'm going to write X's on it. We've got to cut that away. So let's make that line thick too. Sometimes you can move the ruler a little bit and do the line again to make it extra thick. Do it over here. So I have an extra thick line so I know where I'm cutting. So that's where the weapon's going to be inside the design. But one of the really important things is to have the wheel be able to touch the ground, whether it's driving right side up or upside down. So again, there's the weapon, and if it's driving right side up, this wheel has got to touch the ground on this side. And when it's driving upside down, it's got to touch the ground on this side. So that means That means I can take this wheel here and look at that. It's driving on the ground here, but it's not driving on the ground here. So I got to move it back. So it's driving on the ground here, but it's driving too much on the ground here. So what I want to do is keep moving that back and forward until I can put the wheel, exactly in contact with the bottom and the top at the same time. So let's get a different color. We have Sharpies. Let's do purple. Let's actually get a line going here. So there we go. That is the wheel in the design. And then that's the weapon. And then this is the bottom. Bottom, 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 bottom. Bottom, 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 bottom. Okay. So that's where the wheel goes. So we'll find a place for the guts of the robot to go too. But it's going to take a minute. This is a good start, but take a look at something. If I try to build this robot exactly like you see with the purple lines, there's the weapon. If I try to build it along those dashed lines, there's no cardboard on the top or bottom. So we got to take a little bit off the top and bottom. So how much? Well, let's get a piece of cardboard off of here and see how much we have to work with. I'm going to just make a triangle here. So you see the cardboard is not like a piece of paper. It has some thickness to it. It's about 3 millimeters thick, or 1/8 of an inch. So what I want to do is I want to have 1/8 of an inch thickness above this line for my design. So I'm going to put my piece of cardboard right there against that floor line that I drew. Now I'm drawing an actual framing line. So this line that I'm drawing right now, we're actually going to cut against in a minute. And I'm going to switch my right and left hand real quick and draw a line from the other side. You ever notice how you have one hand you like to use a lot for writing? They call that your dominant hand, but sometimes it's fun to try to write with your other hand. It feels so weird to hold a pen or a pencil in the other hand, or like you're eating with a fork in one hand, stick the fork in the other hand and feel what it's like to eat like that. It's a little strange, but it's totally normal. There's the other thing. I want to have some cardboard in the front too to keep my robot safe. It needs some armor. So again, I'm going to make some distance here. There we go. So this line that you see right here is called it's called a template. A template is a pattern you follow to make other shapes. And we're gonna make one of these to go on each side of this, and then we're going to make 4 of those with that template. Yeah, I think that's the right answer. We'll make 4 of these because there's a one on each side of the weapon, and there's one on each side of the motors over here. And then there's going to be one on each side for the outside body, but I don't think we need the templates for that. I think we can build that just from scratch. Let's figure out the middle of the circle real quick. And, all right, so that's going to be the center of where I put the motor. Okay, it's right there. So that's part of the template too. Let's cut that out. Instead of scissors, I want to try this. I'm going to try some. I'm going to try a utility knife. Utility knife is fun because you can make it safe, and you can stick out a little bit of a knife if you only need a little bit of knife, or if you need a lot of knife. I like that. Makes it a little safer to use. So let's go ahead and grab this much cardboard. And we have the template. I am going to chop off the outside as well. Okay. So the little pieces like this, I just throw them away off the desk, and I'll sweep up after I'm done. That's a good template. So I can tell this is well, I can tell right now because I'm feeling pretty smart, but I'll go ahead and say forward and top while I'm thinking about it. Because there is an actual bottom of this robot and a top. Just got to keep that in mind. Keep your eye on this gap right here. It's very important that we respect that gap. That's part of the design. Um, it's not actually, it's something we have to do just to keep the design going. Okay, so let's make 2 more of those. Or, sorry, 3 more. Because we have the template, but we have the template, but we also can use the template itself as one of the frames. So, template is traced out. I would like to be able to mark the location of the center here. That's where the wheel goes, and that's the template. I made a little hole in it. All right. To make the cardboard extra strong, see all these bumps in it? Called corrugations. There's little bumps inside it. They're called corrugations. You want to cross those up. So some of them are going to go like this, and some of them are going to go up and down. So I want to make a template. Here we go. This is how we do it. I'm going to make a template down here. I see a cut that's already been made for me. Look at this cut here. For free, I can use that cut. So it's one less thing I have to cut to make this template work. And I'm already using the line down here, but I can draw it. And I can flip this over and keep going. Let's see. I can use that free line I talked about earlier. And there's the center. This is going so fast. I'm going to go ahead and just make. I'm just going to make another a plate for. I'm going to make another plate, and so I don't have to use my template in my design. I can keep it to refer to it later. So now I have 4 plates. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just have to cut them out real quick. It's kind of hard to tell what I'm doing. but the pieces do eventually start to stick together. They start to make a sense. You can use scissors for this too. No harm in that. Scissors are harder to cut straight with, though. That's why you see me using a knife most of the time. So for long ones like that, it's really nice to have the scissors, or sorry, the knife. And then for short ones, having scissors is actually very quick too. That's 2 plates. And here's another plate. Let's see what we got here. This is kind of fun because I have an outside, right? Here I am using it without the ruler. Little risky, but I have a long straight piece here, so I want to cut that with my knife. Look how it's different when you cut across the corrugations. That's a nice piece. I want to keep that. I'm going to use one last cut, one last long cut, and then we can do the tinier cuts with the scissors. I like the sound it makes when you cut across the corrugations. It's a nice piece of scrap as well. Again, I'm throwing away the little pieces right on the floor. But you have to promise the people you live with that you will sweep it up when you're done. And so at the end of the video, you'll see me sweeping this up because it's important to do what you say that you're going to do. Just like I said, we're going to make 4 of these, and we did. Look at that. Let's see if they fit the way I said they would. Okay. And then the wheels will fit right about there. Yeah. I can imagine this robot coming together, even though all I have is a triangle and a wheel. Imagination is really important. You got to see it in your head, but also you have to enjoy the building process when things don't go according to plan. Because several things here are going to change, and I won't expect the change. All right, so these are fine. These are good. I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to mount it to the face here. There we go. I'm just drawing a hole where I think the motor goes. Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. So it's actually really hard to cut a circle with the utility knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make just a shape of straight lines. It's kind of a bent over square. I'm going to do that right now. Just a little bent over square. Let's see what happens. Look at that. Pretty much fits where I thought it would. But again, it's not according to plan. It needs to go over a little bit. I think this will be better if I can cut just a little bit more over here off and let it travel a bit further this way. So let's do that. Oh, put your caps on your Sharpie markers. So I actually don't know what this looks like in my head when it will be finished. I'm just getting close to what I think is the right design, and then fine tuning it as I get closer. Yeah. No, that looks lovely actually. Right. So I'm actually gonna glue that down. But this part up here is really flipsy? No, flexible. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take some other cardboard. Mhm, mhm. I'll take cardboard from a completely different box and go right over the top of this, just for stiffness. So here we go. Here comes some hot glue. And I just do a bead over the top. Look at that. It's all messy. But no one's gonna see this glue. Just you and me. Oh, I should do it closer to here so you see what I'm doing next time. And I hold it together while the glue cools off. So now I cut the cardboard off I don't need, right? Using the existing cardboard as a guide. Small piece, I could probably throw it away. So it goes on the floor. So I'm chopping the hole out. You can see whenever I'm moving the blade through, I don't keep my hand in the way. Let me show you what that looks like. So I don't cut this way towards my hand. Get your hand on the other side and cut away from it. See? You can even, when you cut through it a little bit, you can flip it over and you can see you're almost cut all the way through. You can finish the cut from the other side, usually really easy. Super hot. Boop, boop. I want that to be stiffer. Here, let's do, let me make a piece like this. Yeah, that's the spot. Yeah, that'll work. So glue goes on. You don't have to make a thick layer of glue. Just enough to cover the basic area. I'm going to just place this on top of it. Now let's hold it for like 20 seconds. 20 seconds is how long you should wash your hands. It's also about the same amount of time it takes to sing You Are My Sunshine. You can even see how much time 20 seconds is by watching the second hand on your watch or the time on your phone. That's been about 20 seconds. So that means knife comes out. Again, always cut alongside, but not towards your fingers. Don't cut towards your fingers. You'll cut your fingers. Like that. That's a nice piece of scrap. I'm going to hang on to that. Sometimes I like the shapes of the pieces of cardboard I cut off. And I just keep them. I might need them for a little piece here and there. But now, oh, of course I like it. It's too stiff because it has the center in there. So let me cut that again. So cut. And I'm cutting away from my other hand. Once I've done some cutting, I'm going to flip this over and see if I can, oh yeah, I can finish this really easy from the other side. Cut away from your hand. You'll see me sometimes go whoops, cut towards my other hand. And when I'm doing that is when you're going to see me cut myself. And I'll be very embarrassed because I'm supposed to show you how to do this safely. So after I'm done cutting with my knife, I like to fold it up so it's nice and safe. Now let's take a look at our weapon here. Oh yeah, that's looking good. So that's going to be up against there. Maybe one length of cardboard in. Oh yeah, and it's going to be up a little and in. I'm going to chop just a little bit off of this. I want some of this gone. I was a bit shy about removing that, but now that I've made it 3 layers of cardboard thick, I'm feeling a bit more bold, confident that removing material is not bad. Instead of trying to cut it off all at once, I just do many cuts, a little deeper each time. Even tiny cuts, if you keep doing them, will cut through the whole thing. And I'm going to cut the other way. Oh, I cut towards my thumb there. Did you see that? I should try not to do that. I'm going to chop that off from the other side. There we go. All right. Let's put my knife away, so I put my blade away. Let's see what we got. So I want it to be a layer of cardboard away from the bottom, so here we go. One layer of cardboard away. And then a layer of cardboard away from the front. Okay. There we go. And then a layer of cardboard from the bottom. All right. I think I'm ready to glue this down to the robot, and it's going to have its first piece of cardboard on it. Um, you see, I don't need cardboard over the whole thing. I just need it on this kind of frame here. How are we going to do that? I'm going to just go around the edge. Just put a big blob fairly close to the edge. On the framework. When you use a lot of glue, it takes a long time for it to cool down and turn solid. So just be aware, if you use a lot of glue, you got to be patient. I'm not very patient usually. So for me, it's a good idea to not use as much glue. You'll notice that I have a little glue sticking out that's not doing anything. I don't want to keep that around, so I'm going to rub that off the piece of that cardboard I kept around. There we go. I hope the tone of my voice doesn't come off patronizing. Like if I talk differently, like I'm talking this way because I don't respect you. No, I'm just trying to keep it simple for myself and keep it simple for anyone who might watch this. Still too much glue on there. I'm going to scrape it off with this little piece of wood I have lying around. So, here we go. Not exactly what I had in mind when I designed it, but I kind of like it. I think we have a robot. We have the beginnings of a robot here. Let me get rid of some of this junk on my desk. All right, let's grab our next frame. I'm going to grab one of these. So now I'm looking at the other side. When I flip it over, I can't see the hole where my wheels are going to go. But it doesn't matter as much on this side. So we have to cut a lot of this off. Okay. I'm just trying to line it up so that one side and the other are directly on top of each other. It's a little tricky, but I think we can get there. So it looks like there's a circle over here I got to cut off. Yeah. And looks like there's a circle over here I got to cut off. Whoop, whoop. Does that make sense? See what we got? Kind of makes sense. I think we want to move this down like that. There we go. I think that's the cut we want. Now, I'm not sure that's the cut we want from this test here. I'm not sure if that's the right hole to make. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to be able to peek inside. I want to peek through this and see down inside to test if I've got the right hole. So to do that, I'm going to cut a little little peeking hole, peek hole there. It's like the hole in your door that lets you see outside the door without opening it all the way. So let me. This is a guess hole. There we go. So now I can see what I'm doing. So when I line this up with the other side, okay, okay. Now I like the looks of that. Okay. It looks like to make this hole complete, looks like that has to happen. Okay. And then to make this hole complete, it looks like this has to happen. Okay. So always put your caps back on your Sharpies. There you go. So I got close, but I wasn't exact. And that's why I wanted to do the test holes. It's really hard to cut a circle with the utility knife. So what I'm really doing is I'm cutting short, little, straight lines as I go around. There we go. And then this side's kind of wild because we're actually cutting all the way through. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat a little. I know I drew a line there, I'm not actually going to cut all the way around. I'm going to cut to this dotted line and see what that looks like. Oops. Uh-oh, my knife's getting dull. So on this particular knife, you can pull. Okay, it's time for a new blade. I have new ones stashed in the handle. So, nice new sharp blade. A sharp knife is actually safer because you don't have to pull as hard to get the job done. Oh my, that's way better. I should have done that before, long ago. There we go. Okay, okay, I like how that lays. I'm gonna chop off a little of the middle too. And since it's a super straight line, I'm gonna use the straight edge. Ooh, I should have, yeah. I should have changed this blade before we even started this video. Little pieces I'm just gonna throw on the floor so we don't have to look at them. I don't know, that looks pretty good. It's pretty good. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and stop that slot. We'll come back to it in a minute, but I want to do little holes for these fasteners over here. And those are going to define. Those are going to set up. Kind of hard to tell, to describe what I'm doing right now, but what it is, I'm marking down where these parts are. There we go. Don't want to pull too hard. I don't want to bend up my. I don't want to bend up this plate I'm making. So short, gentle cuts. There's a third one. Ah, there it is. Look at that. These cutouts go over those, hopefully. Let's see. Look at that. Oh wow, that's pretty good for a first attempt. I'm going to cut just a little bit more out of that. A little bit more out of that. So I'm marking in purple what I'm going to cut. I think we'll be good. Just a smidgen out of that too. Let's see what we got. So I'm just making these holes a little bit bigger. They don't have to be, they don't need to, they can still touch the parts underneath. It's fine. Once we get the shape right, I think we're going to make a few more templates out of it. Yeah, let's see what it does. I like it better. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. It does look like we got to cut just a small amount right out of here to really make this fit nice. Oh my goodness. Look how thin that's going to be if I cut that out. I'll cut half of that out. See what I get. Let's see if that's enough. I think that's enough. Look. Yeah, I didn't have to cut all that out. So this is pretty floppy and flimsy. But the important part is the thing that spins in it can spin without hitting the cardboard. I think that's really nice. So I'm going to make another one just like this. Remember that cardboard we made a mess out of? I'll tell you what, it's still just perfectly good. So what I'm going to do, all right, I'm going to glue the back of this. Glue, oh, sorry. I'm going to glue the back of this. Even that little stretch there. Glue, 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 glue. Don't have to cover it with glue. Just get the outline and a little bit in the middle of it. I'm just going to go splat like that. If you're doing this and you get a little hot glue on your finger, like let's say I have some hot glue over here that's still wet. And if I get some on my finger, it could burn me. And it will, unless I rub it off like this. Rub, 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 rub. And if you do that, you make a little hot glue booger instead of getting it to burn you. So if you ever get some hot glue on you, rub it back and forth to make a little booger out of it. Show you that again. So there's some hot glue. It's right there. It's nice and wet and hot. It would burn me if I left it on my skin. But here we go. I'm going to get some on my skin, then I'm going to rub it back and forth. Back and forth, real quick. Quick, 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 quick. You can also do it with your other hand too, and that makes you a little booger there instead of burning your finger. Okay? So now check it out. This is now twice as thick, and we just have to cut that pattern out of it. But it's really easy to do because look, the template is right there, part of it. So you don't have to think too hard. You can just do it. Let's see how we're doing. So then we chop out those little pieces. That's the sound of me throwing the little pieces I don't think I'm going to need on the floor. Remember, you can't, if you have like 20 minutes to do this, you can only do it for like 15 minutes. You have to spend the last few minutes of time to clean up what you just did. Because if you do that, people will let you make a mess on a kitchen table if before the time is up, you have the whole thing cleaned up. So you're actually going to watch me clean this place before I'm done. So there we go. Kind of a peanut or dumbbell shape here. Got to be extra careful at the front here. Extra careful. Look how thin that is. Extra careful. There's that peanut shape, dumbbell shape. Probably don't need it. Tossing it to the ground. Oh, heck yeah. We're getting a shape. And you know what? I want to make this I think too thick is good enough. Yeah, I think too thick. Just too wide is strong enough. Because even when you're shipping across the whole United States, they use boxes that are only one of these thick. And I think too thick is perfectly fine. So we could probably put some frames and stuff in there. Yeah, I kind of like it. There's some old glue stuck on here. I'm just gonna heat it up with the iron and move it side to side so it's flat and out of the way. Nice. I'm gonna take a quick break, and when I come back, um, we'll start building side to side by making the bottom plate where we can attach motors to it and stuff. All right. When you last left, we had this picture here where we had one wall made. I was calling it a plate. I don't know. It's a plate, I guess. And then on the other side, I had made a piece of another plate that fits right on. I'll figure it out. Hold on. There we go. There. And I didn't attach it. So we're going to attach that right now. I traced out where I don't want the glue because there's just space there. It's a hole. So there. There we go. Flip it over. Oh, ha! I did not mean to get glue onto that. We'll have to scrape that glue off later. Oh, just give it a pinch, squish down. Before that glue gets all the way hard, I'm going to go ahead and peel it off. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's good. There we go. Doesn't look like a robot yet. I think there's more work to do. But what we need is a bottom plate. A plate that we can start going side to side so that it gives us space to put the rest of the internal stuff, or the guts of the robot. Because the guts are good, they still need a home though. So let's see about doing that. What I'm going to do is bring in my cardboard box I've been working with, and let's see about doing like, I'm going to use this big chunk right here. I'm going to get greedy. The robot wants to be about 8 inches wide. So let's see. At least that's how I've built it before. Let's see. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So from here to there, there to there. All right. So yeah, so as wide as this. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that off real quick, make it easier to work with. Set that aside. So what I would do, I would hmm hmm I would go about from here to there and put this about in the middle. Let's measure the middle actually. We can do that. So that's 5, that's 8. So here's 4. And we can follow the lines down the middle. Putting my knife away real quick. Little dots. I don't want to cut along these dots. I just want to think of that as the middle of the robot. So let's move that up for the camera to see. Yeah, I could picture that. Here's the middle of the robot. Put that right under the middle of the camera so you can see what I see. And so those two little forky things right there. And get this out of the way for you. Those little forky things, I want to eat those pellets. Just right down the middle. Um, let's do about there. Yeah, I want this fold right there. That's the spot for it. And I want to trace the width of this. Okay. And it's got to go back to here. This is the back half of the weapon. I'm not cutting there. I just want to know it's there. So there is going to be a cut across like this. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I like that. I'm actually going to cut all the way through this. Always put your caps back on your Sharpies. Just like you're supposed to put your knife away. So it's a rule, but I don't follow it too well sometimes. There we go. Nice clean cut. Don't cut towards your fingers. So got that. And I want this hole that I'm about to cut out to be just as wide as this. You know what? I've got a ruler right here. Let's see how wide that should be. It looks like it's 24.5 millimeters. Yeah, we'll do 24 millimeters. 24, which is pretty much what I drew, but you never know. It's good to double check. A wise person told me to measure twice, cut once. There we go. So now I have a middly piece, right? And I'm just going to remove it. I'm just going to cut it free. Let me keep that around. That's a nice piece of scrap. I'll keep that in my scrap collection. So now, let's see if this fits. So it looks like I cut a little too narrow, but only just. Like it's almost getting in there. So let me cut off another, let's say about 2 millimeters. See where that leaves us. So I only cut a little bit off. Let's see if that makes it fit better. Oh, oh, is that better? Let's find out. Oh, yeah. That is exactly how wide I want that. That fits in there really nice. You might be wondering, why did I choose this bend on the end? Well, take a look at the side. That bend is lined up with that. It makes a strong joint. And I'm going to use it to help make the front of the robot. So let's go ahead and line this up and glue it down. So we want glue here, here. Yeah, and we don't need to glue up the front yet. I just want glue along here. A little extra down there. And along there. And glue along here. And that is, make sure it's straight up and down from the board. So like 90 degrees from the board. Straight up and down, does that make sense? Looks like I have some extra glue globs right here that aren't doing anything, so I'm going to rub those off like that. Yeah. I like this. I think that's a good base. I think that's a really good base for the robot. I'm going to put a bead of glue right down the edge between those two plates. That, I've run out of glue. Oh no. Fortunately, I've got a lot of glue. So I just put another stick in and keep going. Only up to this bend here. Only up to that bend. We gotta wait. We gotta wait a long time for that to heal. Or not heal, harden. So I'm gonna set that aside and take this piece. I'm gonna keep that piece. I'll keep that piece around. Let's go ahead and do a side job while we're waiting. I'm gonna pick up some trash over here. I forgot my broom. You know what? I can just use the side of my foot. Sorry I don't have a camera to show this part. You just have to believe me that I'm actually cleaning up right now. I'm certainly not a professional photographer. Um, but I figure cleaning up right now will be easier than waiting all the way to the end of the project in order to clean up. Now when I roll my chair around, it actually rolls instead of hits the cardboard and gets stuck. So when you look at the plate that I've made here, see the plate is nice and flat. The weapon sticks straight up out of the cardboard. The sides of the cardboard are lined up pretty well. Nice. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. And when you look at the top of this thing, you start to see how a robot could live on this frame. I like that. And the battery ends up living over here somewhere. So there's enough room here inside the robot, I think. We're not ready to commit to that yet. I am going to mark the inside where this meets that corner there. The middle of the corner there. See that? Marked it right there. Cool. I'll do the same thing on the other side. A little harder to see on this side because I got the weapon in the way, but same job. So I'm putting that mark right where that bend is going to happen. So what I do with that bend is what I want to do with the bend is I want to just do a tiny cut. I don't want to cut all the way through. I just want to cut through the top of it in a few places. Same thing goes on the other side. Let me guess, I'm doing this completely off camera. No, I'm still on camera. Cool. I'm going to take the tip of my scissors. I'm going to use them to just rub that edge. Rub along those cuts I just made. You see, I haven't cut all the way through, but it lets me bend. All right. So what we're doing is I actually laid out in the prior videos how to get the weapon mounted vertically to a single piece of cardboard. So we made a special slot in the front and put it together. What we're going to do now is try to mount the wheels to this. As you can see, I've added a line by taking this template that we made at the beginning and lining that corner right up there with that corner, and looking down where the hole is, and then putting a line along the bottom lined up with that, because that's where we're going to put the wheels. We're going to put the wheels there and prop this up slightly and put wheels on there to make it full width. So let's go top down, and we're going to just follow along here. I can't pull very hard right there because if I do, I might break. There we go. There we go. So now I have about an 8-inch wide robot, and we're going to start thinking about how to mount the wheels. I'm actually going to pull. I'm actually going to pull the wheels out of the controller. So they're loose. Loose. So after I unscrew those screws, I can now pull the wires out. So there we go. So now we have two sets of wheels. Um, there's a wheel with a long wire. That means it's the right side. And there's a wheel with a short wire. That means it's the left side. So they're going to go on there. You can see that line, so I'm lining up with the line. Line, 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 line. You can see, oh, you can't see actually. Let's try that from over here. So if I look at this, I want to make this a little higher. So if it was like that, it'd be kind of tilted down, which is cool. I mean, makes it look aggressive having it tilted down like that. It also means there's not as much room inside for the internals. And it actually helps to have a lower center of gravity. So I'm going to make this a little thicker. So I'm going to take some scrap and yeah, that'll work. I'm going to grab this, just chop a chunk off and glue the glues. You know, do a little gloppy glops. Gloppy glop, 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 glop. There we go. So I'm just going to mount that right on top of there, somewhere in there. Want to make sure there's still a gap between the wheel and the frame, so the wheel can turn free. Now, let's see. I want that little gap there to be closed off, so I'm gonna add a little goop there. Add a goop there. That sticks together. So now it's one big piece. And there's a little gap there I can fill up too while I'm at it. I'm just gonna put the gloppy glue like right in the crack. There we go. And I'm gonna stick that in there like this. Don't worry about it all sticking out like it is right here. It's sticking out all over the place. That's fine. I'm going to clip that back with some trusty scissors. So, there we go. Take those little bits of cardboard. I don't think I need any of them. I'm going to throw them on the floor. There we go. So now when I look at how this lines up on the side, let's see what we got. So the long wired one goes on the right side of the robot. Well, it looks like I could probably add one more layer there. I'm going to double check something from this side. I'm going to skip that actually. Let me work on putting cardboard back on this one too. So we go with that right there. So let's see. That looks about right. Time to bring in the Sharpie. So Looks like it's pretty close to what I need. And I like to put the cap back on my Sharpie so it stays nice and fresh when the next time I need it. And stand by one here. Yeah, I think we got something that'll fit pretty well. But check it out. These little bolts stick up a little bit. So I'm going to get the lines off of those. And there we go. All right, so this will allow those little bolts to stick up and out. You can see I'm mixing it up. Sometimes I'm using scissors, and sometimes I'm using knife. So I'm taking those little pieces, just sweeping them onto the floor, as long as I promise to pick them up later. So yeah, that'll fit nicely. And I don't need to glue it down first. I can actually go back in there and cut it to size while we're waiting. There you go. Nice. So let me glue this up. Glue, 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 glue around the outside edge. There we go. I'm just gonna, I can dig that. Let me just go across the top here to make another layer. I'm just gonna stick that, just plop it right on that piece of cardboard there. That might seem a little sloppy, like I'm not really planning it, but it's totally fine to do things quick, as long as you know how to do the next step, which is cut it free. I could use the knife for this, but I like to mix it up. There we go. So now we have two motors that have double thick cardboard on the bottom, which I think makes the right height for the side. So it has a little gap between the ground and the bottom. And if it's not attached to the wheels, it'll flatten out like that. Yeah, I can believe in that. I'm actually going to trace out where it's going to land, because I actually want to do it like this. I want these to come in. I actually want the wheels to be parallel and flat with the outside edge there. Yeah, so I want the wheels to have some protection. So they're going to be inside the armor. Right there. So see how I drew these outlines here? I want to make sure that the front, these little lines on my cutting board I can use. Look at that thick yellow line. Yeah, that lines up pretty good with the thick yellow line. And now that does too. Not much to say right now. I'm just quietly building. I don't have any advice on how to make this better. I actually like these two scraps. I'm going to keep them. I put the knife away. Let's see. Oh yeah, if I put the wheel to that edge right there, makes the wheel flat with the outside. And I think that looks cool. So I'm going to do that. It also means the robot is exactly 8 inches wide. Yeah, I'm a believer. I think I'm going to do that. Should I remove this sticker? Yeah, I should remove that sticker. It's not stuck on there pretty good. So, lots of glue this time, especially on the edges of the shape. It's where it has the most stress, where the part needs to be the strongest. And also line it up. Oh man, that's hard to see. I just use the table to line the edge up real quick. So I'm just going to hold that in place. This is going to take more than a You Are My Sunshine. This is going to take like the whole national anthem, I think. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail by the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars, da 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 da. Eh, we were holding it a while before. We don't have to do the whole anthem. Let's do the other side. So I'm going to get glue. It's really important to get glue on the edges of a shape because that's what makes it really strong. The glue in the middle doesn't make it that strong. So I'm lining that wheel up with the other wheel, trying to make it square. You know what I mean? Maybe wiggle it a little bit forward of the line. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Play ball. Take a look. So those wheels hold the cardboard off the ground. So you can kind of see a shape taking form here. I'm going to attach the front of that. I think that would look really cool. So I'm doing 2 edges of glue. So folding that up and then folding that up. And then I just hold it in place. Just let it really settle in there. And see, when you take your cardboard, what makes a box so strong isn't how thick the wall is. It's not how thick the wall is. It's how it folds together. Those folds add so much strength. So when you look at a cardboard box, what's the strongest part of it? It's the corners, because that's where the 4 sides meet, and that's where the folds really line up. So when you look at the corner of the box, that's the strongest part of the box. Remember that for when you make your own designs. That's going to take a little while. If you have to change cameras, it's going to take so long. Look at that. I think I'm going to reinforce it with glue while I'm waiting. Look at that. I'm going to give it a little extra. Yeah, a little extra. So just making sure that there's a connection between one surface and the other, making it super strong. Now, if I can spare a finger, let me hold that in place with this hand, right? I can probably get the other side done while we're waiting. Oh yeah, we can totally do this. Foldy, foldy. Foldy, foldy. Look at that. So now the front end is completely folded over. These folds add strength to your design. I can't quite get in there to make extra glue happen there, but I could on the outside. Glue on the outside doesn't look as good. It looks kind of sloppy, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Just gonna add a little bead there down that side. And do the other side while I'm at it. Shoot, that worked out good. Actually like how that looks now. For this part, I just add the glue to the top, like that, just to the top, where those two edges come together. And then I take a piece of that scrap cardboard I put aside. I'm just gonna wipe the excess off. Nice. When I do this, it also wipes the glue down into the joint too. So it helps it get stronger. I didn't want that glue up there. There we go. See now, that is getting stronger every minute. You look at it from above, it's kind of derpy. It's at an angle. Oh well, it's not quite square. Yeah, it's almost square. Like that's perfect. But it ended up lined up like that. You know it doesn't matter. Let's see how long we can make this. So I kind of want the design. There's a triangle. I kind of want the design to be 8 inches long. So let's see what that looks like. So there's the forks. The absolute front of it is at 8 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8, 6, 7, 8. This is 8 inches. That's as far back. That is as far back as I want to go. And because I want to fold the cardboard on itself for strength, I say that this is as far back as we should go. And we'll use that natural fold right here, that natural fold in the cardboard to fold up and over once we're getting stuff plugged in. So before deciding how to frame the inside of this, I think it's a good time to try to fit some parts in there. I have the guts. Let's see if the guts go in it. Those guts go in it. Oh yeah, there's a lot of room in here. I'm gonna say yeah. You know what? This is a little silly. I think I'm gonna glue this in place. So I just glued the brain in place. I can't move that now, it's kind of stuck. And so these are the power cables, those are pretty important. This little box here has the red label on it. This box is the receiver. The receiver takes commands from the remote control and listens for them wirelessly through this antenna. So those need to work together. Oh, I forgot to add these back. All right, so I am going to I'm going to start adding these wires here. This wire could be a lot shorter, actually. Let's think about this. These wires could be a lot shorter. All right. Special kind of scissors for cutting wires. There we go. All right. I should probably say what I'm doing here. I'm attaching this motor right here to that robot brain right there. I'm going to put the red one in first. And I'm going to use tweezers to make it easier. Oh, goodness. All right, so that motor is attached to the brain, and this wire needs to go through there. So how are we going to get that wire through there? I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm just going to poke a hole through that. All right. And I'm going to use my tweezers and I'm going to feed that wire. There's 3 wires there. There's 2 wires rather. Right on through to the other side. All right. looks like we can shorten those wires slightly. All right. Alrighty. I like to twist the wires together a little bit. Let me give a tug to each wire. Tug, tug, tug. I don't trust that. Oh no. Yeah, that was barely attached to anything. That didn't feel right. But I think I can still save the wire. Give it a twist, twist, twist. Grab it pretty close to the end. Fire it into that hole. Now the wires are attached to the robot controller. So now we have the weapon controller. Where's that going to live? I think the right place for that would be I'm actually going to punch a hole for these three big wires right through here. Let's see what that looks like. So a hole about like that. Let's see how much of that I can do with the utility knife. So now there's a hole where I can stick these wires. Let's too small for all three to go through at once, I think. But let me try. Yeah, I can get two through at once. But once I get two, the third one fits through easily. Okay. All right. Actually label these black wires. You have to get the right color into the right hole. So I have a red, a blue, and a black. Red goes into red. Blue goes into blue. Black goes into black. If you mix those up, the weapon won't spin the right direction. All right. So let's do a wired up test. Now that we have all this wired up, let's put the safety in. So I'm going to keep the weapon from spinning by putting the safety wedge in there. So now the weapon can't turn. I'm going to turn my, you always turn your radio on first. Put my knife away. Throw away the small scraps. I'll sweep them up later. And now I plug my battery in to the rest of the robot. Sounds like the robot is awake. Let's see what we got. So when I'm, all right, it can steer, it can go back and forward. I like it. The only confusion right now is that I have the thing that I plugged in for steering, and the thing that I plugged in steering goes back and front, and then what's the best way to fix that? Let me see here. There we go. Let's see what that did. So when I pull the trigger, it goes forward. When I push the trigger, it goes backward. When I steer, yeah. Let's reverse the steering, see if it makes more sense. Oh yeah. And that leaves, does the weapon work? Let's find out. I'm going to make it unsafe by pulling the safety out. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah, that's plenty dangerous. Putting the weapon wedge back in place to make it safe. So the wiring is complete. We could actually leave it the way it is, and that would be a box spot. But a couple of problems. It's not able to drive on its back yet. and um, I'm still kind of working on the design, but it's a good place to put a break in it because now all the wires are working and we have the basic frame in place. I think I'm going to move the motors back a little bit because right now I don't think it can actually drive on its back. Let's find out. Let's find out if it can drive on its back. So what we're going to do is chop on through here to the other side. Chop on through to the other side. Wow, that doesn't work at all. So the original design was that the wheels would actually touch the ground when it's on its back. As you can see, it doesn't do that. So the wheels are going to have to go back a ways before that becomes real. But I think it's a pretty easy fix. Just got to move the wheels back, maybe a 1/4 inch. I think we'd be in the races. But remember, I also want to make this extra thick. Hmm. Yeah, I messed that up a little bit. I'll tell you what, it's cardboard box plots, so you don't have to live with your mistakes for very long. Make a mistake in your design, you can fix it real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the wheels way back, like right there. Let's see what that does. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This wheel doesn't want to be removed as easy. There we go. It came up eventually. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Move the wheels back just a little bit. Not much, just a little bit. The other thing we could do is actually put another layer of cardboard underneath them. I'm actually going to pull them up again and add just another piece of cardboard to them. You want to be super quick. Nothing beats scissors. Nothing beats scissors for speed. A little extra glue sticking out, so I'm going to wipe it clean. So outside edge, a little bit in the middle. Oh no! A little bit extra glue. Just stick more in and keep on gluing. Mm-hmm. There we go. All right. All right. Where's the battery gonna go? Now this is where I need to keep parts from inside the robot touching this part, because if stuff hits that, it's gonna get stuck. What I'm gonna do, there we go. Nice. All right. So not much to talk about. Just holding it while glue dries. And this is just to keep the keep stuff from going into the weapon while it's trying to drive around. There we go. That's a good start. Now I want a little wall in here. Do the same thing that the other part was doing, which was preventing the just want a little wall here. Always put your cap back on your Sharpie. And let's get this going. Let's see here. I'm going to use a slightly smaller battery in the real world when I fight this robot. So let's see. Can I put this in there? Not quite. Can I put this in there? Almost. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Just trying to figure out where the battery goes. So the weapon controller is going to be about there. The battery can be about there. That'd be all right. Yeah, I can make that work. Yeah, let's go with that. Means the battery. Actually. Hmm. Yeah, it's a good fit. Alrighty. There's yet another wall inside. All right, well, we're going to need a whole lot more of those because I want one on the, well, one. Actually, no, we only need one more. Oh, I want at least one more of these. And, hmm, hmm, hmm. How about this? Have a fresh cut on the bottom. There, there, right there. But what I forgot to do is make a barrier here. Let's see what that does. There we go. Just a little protection for that thing. So, goopy goop. Wow, we're gonna have to do a time lapse or some nonsense for this. This takes a while. All right. So we're in the middle of building Fidget 2. Fidget or Fidget 3. Fidget is a box-based combat robot. We're building the cardboard box that kind of surrounds it and encloses it. Got all the wiring done, and I was just going to do a bit more removal of material. Like right here, it's very hard to change the battery. So what I'm going to do is actually glue this out of the way, like so. There we go. So that makes it easier for me to reach inside and change the batteries. Oh, I was expecting that to be more complicated. So now it's time to debulk this a little bit. I'm gonna cram these over like this. So there we go. And there we go. So this gets a little bit of glue down here, and here, and here, and here. And I'm actually going to skip glue on that side. I'm just going to hold it there. All right. Kind of flexible there, but maybe I can square it up somehow. So I'm going to make this count for something. All right, so I'm Just measuring how wide to make that. Make that 90 degrees. Put the blade away. Close this up like that. Okay, and then get the height off of this. Always put your caps back on your Sharpies. This looks like I need to trim a little bit of that off. Put my blade away. Sharpie right there. All right. Yeah, let's take a look at how this goes into there. Right there. To make room for that glue, gotta cut the corner right there. Perfect. All right. Glue, 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 glue. Let's glue all the way around this edge. And make sure that's all together. Gonna start making a similar piece for the other side. All right. And make a little shorter. Okay. What I'm gonna do is a little shorter. Sweet. Okay. So I'm taking the small pieces and throwing them back on the floor. Some lovely scraps I like to keep around for reinforcing parts. A lot of this I can just remove from the desk. There we go. All right. Loopy flop, sloppity slop. Okay. Just gonna check that this thing still drives. Drives good enough. Good enough. All right, so I think it's time to close this off. I kind of want to angle those sides in. I kind of. Let me enclose it first and then do that. So I'm going to fold this over. Fold this over and then kind of mark, 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 and mark. Let's see how these lines add up here. They kind of average out right about there. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to slightly cut, not all the way through, but just a little bit. So I'm cutting through just the first piece of paper. Right. So I make sure to run a bead down the line. Okay. To put the strength back where I took it by cutting it. And let's see. Like I said before, nothing beats the speed of scissors when you're doing designs. Nothing's faster than scissors. Bam! Look how quick that is. Bam! There we go. Fold that over. You can kind of see where this is going. Becoming a box. Puts the box in box spots. Always put your caps back on, your Sharpies. So something like this is going to have to get cut back up again. This is where the battery changing area is going to be, right in there. But we need more cardboard. There's always need more cardboard. All right. Still packing tape right off. I'm actually not going to deal with that. I'm just going to cut this. Let's see what's left. All right. Okay. All right. All right, something like that. All right. All right. So, Hard to see what I'm doing off screen, but I'm trying to push the top edge in so that it's like a box. And that is a box print. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, got to put my blade away and forgot to cap my Sharpie. It's no good. and it's hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm just adding some framing to the outside here. Gonna add a little glue hinge here by laying some glue down and then spreading it out. So now there's a reinforcement right there to keep it from breaking so easily. Okay. All right, getting a little low on glue there. Might have another step. There we go. Adding a little glue to the back edge of this, and then smoothing it down so it's as thin as it can be. Just let that harden up a little bit. Realize that doesn't have to be as thick as it made it. There we go. And so, there we go. Hope it means to. Just scraping off the extra. What I'm doing right now is adding hot melt glue to the edge to make it kind of rubbery edge for the battery compartment to seal up against too, and just hope that it causes it to stick together instead of flop around. Okay. Okay. Yeah. There's kind of a door for the battery. Pieces I could probably get rid of. Stick the safety back in. So the safety is back in. I have a battery compartment that kind of doesn't really latch so much, it's squished together. Hoping that holds. I don't know, it's an experiment. And it rolls from both sides, making it an invertible design. You know what? I think it's time for this thing to get eyeballs. So it needs eyes. I'm thinking towards the middle and half sunk underneath the top. So I'm gonna go. What's up? So I will set the eyeballs down in slightly. Let's do that right now. There's the eye. Yep. Trying to remove just the outer layer here. Just the outer layers. Okay. And I just stick the knife right up in there. And now the eye kind of sticks in there. Yeah. All right. Pump this full of hot glue. Okay. Here we go. Stick in. Stick in. Oh yeah, that's lovely. Always put your There we go. Bam. Sharpies. Team red. Let's do. No, no, God. We won't do. I don't think I'm gonna do. Um, yeah, let's not do anything drastic here. Gotta clear off some of those chunks. Let's do some makeup. Let's see. So the default, of course, is just a line over the top of the eye. And I'm going to go with there we go. And this model is a little bit more dramatic, so I'm going to add just a bit more eyeliner here. It really does have these powerful, dark vertical lines from the weapon. So I'm going to make these even thicker to try to evoke or at least be analogous to those lines. I'm going to go with a wing. And then we'll start with one line around. One line around here. Yeah, I don't think I need the line underneath. I think just the line around the edge. Not quite as thick as the line on top, but still pretty bold. Yeah, but it kind of demands that we slightly thicken. Slightly thicken the line under here. There. Yeah, that's the way. I'm going to do some more detail on that, but I want to use a thinner marker. So we'll go with the finer tip.
We're headed to the dog park, by the way.
So I'll go with the line here.
Dad?
Hello?
We're headed to the dog park, just so you know.
Oh, okay. I'll be right here, I guess.
Cool. I mean, you are free to come with if you want.
Oh, okay. Let me do this thing. I've been putting this off for a while.
All right, cool.
Right. There we go. Now that is a proper box spot. It's a box, and it ain't free shipping, and it'll definitely cost you. Get rid of some of the barcodes. I'm thinking of folding the edges in to add strength and stiffness to the edge here. I think I put too much on there. I'm gonna put that off on something and fold it over and right into the side. Nothing beats scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Scissors win. So this is already increasing the edges and also making the face, which looks a little too wide right now, kind of the right proportion. So it's going to get narrower, and I think a lo- it'll look a lot more like itself, like I believe it's meant to look. So let's see. if there's some old hot melt glue in the way, you can just remelt it with the hot glue gun. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of this off camera. It's just easier to do with closer to my chest. Sweet. This makes this a very square box spot, but I think it's worth the trouble. I think it has a lot of appeal to young designers to see that the type of things that are possible. A little imagination in your box spot. Yeah, there's not much for me to be talking about right now. I'm just holding stuff while it dries or working on it below this area. So I should try to focus on working up here. So at least you can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. It's a big glob of glue down here. Oh, hot glue on me, so I had to rub it off there. Let's see how we're doing. A little hot glue. Do go like this, but before it burns you, you end up with a hot glue booger instead of a burn. There you go. With the eyes, this makes a complete box spot. Let's take a look at the power, see if it works. So I'm turning my radio on. And just for safety, I'm going to put the wedge into the weapon hole. There we go. All right. And that is a control for a different robot. Let's put that aside. Dealing with that right now. Okay. It's my first attempt to put a battery in here. So on the lift, I'm going to stick my finger in the hole and pry. Lift that up. Shove the battery in there. Maybe it'll fit. Maybe it won't. I don't know. Make sure my remote's on. And here we go. We're going to plug this into that and see what happens. Use tweezers to help position stuff. Got it. That means it's ready to go. And, oh, that's the top. Okay. So let's see what we got. Oh, she steers, goes forward and back. And let's see, forward, back. Do I like that steering? Hold on. Oh, yeah, I like that better. I think my channels are reversed. Forward, back, forward, back. And the last check is to fire up. To fire up the weapon. 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah, I think that works. Yeah, that definitely works. We're gonna get in a lot of trouble with this. Anyhow, that is how we build a box spot. This is Fidget 3.0, and it's ready to fight in a box arena near you. And it's quite dangerous. Anyhow, thank you for tuning into this and coming with me on the project of building a box spot. Let's go ahead and close this out. So I unplug the battery, remove it from the robot, and then I turn off the controller. Make sure the safety is engaged. And that is all I have to show you guys. So let's see about working on a more generic box spot next. So thank you for being with me.